So welcome back guys to We Talk Boxing, and today I'm going to be talking about the fight which took place on the weekend between Dalton Smith versus Waleed Ozzy. I still butchered his name. So in regards to this main event, there weren't really a lot to pretty much talk about in terms of controversy or um, Dalton Smith being tested or um, it was just a one round annihilation from that literally from the bell. Brilliant performance from Dalton Smith. Went out there very professional, very focused, looked very fit at the weight, looked strong as well. Looked as if he's certainly carrying some power in his shots as well. And he let his hands go, which is brilliant to see because a lot of times when people, well, fighters, I should say, start a fight and they're on top quite early, they sometimes step off a little bit just to kind of preserve a little bit of energy, just in case they kind of run out of gas or who knows really for whatever reasons, but it's mainly to kind of preserve that little bit of energy. But Dalton Smith thought, you know what, I've got this guy hurt here and I'm literally lighting him up with basic shots, and he just Waleed Ozak just couldn't handle it. And his guard was none and void. I was very disappointing to see that from a European fighter. I expected a little bit more. Thought it was going to be quite tough, quite rugged, but it just wasn't the case. Whether or not that's Dalton Smith just too good, or whether or not that's just this guy who just wasn't good enough, I don't really know because I don't really know a lot about him. But um, yeah, his guard was null and void, and he wasn't really letting his hands go. It was all one way. But yeah, brilliant performance from Dalton Smith. He is the WBC silver champion. He obviously wants to turn that into gold, so he does want a title shot. Whether or not he will get one based upon that display, we don't know. He is ranked number 2 in the WBC. Sandor Martin's ranked above him, and you've obviously got the champion as well, Alberto Perella. So who knows? See what Eddie Hearn could potentially try and do for him. But there are some other big fights in the division for him. Some good British domestic clashes there, maybe between him and Josh Taylor, or him and Jack Catterall in the future, or even Adam Azim, depending on what Azim and Shalom want to do, etc. Now, on the undercard, there was an excellent fight, brilliant fight on the undercard between Harry Scarf versus Conor Walker. Now, I know Conor Walker. I've seen him fight a few times, not live, obviously on the TV. I've seen him fight, and he is a very. I feel and I felt he was a very good like fighter. But this Harry Scarf guy, I've never seen him box before, and he looked very good. I've not, I've heard of the name Harry Scarf, but I've never seen him fight. And looking at his box record now, he's been in there with Karim Chukanasian, and this Karim Chukanasian guy recently fought Joan Ennis twice. Um, Scarf has also been in there with Eko Esserman. I know who he is as well. Very good fighter. He's been in there with Troy Williamson as well. So the thing is, even Anthony Fowler has been in there with as well. So yeah, some good names on his box record. But looking at his record, he's been fluctuating throughout the weights. I think the highest he's fought at was probably 168, probably under 168, because he's weighed in at 164 on one. Was it 16? Yeah, 164 on one card. So whether or not that there was some sort of catch weight limit or what, I don't know. Or he just missed the weight, and if he was meant to be fighting at 160, who knows? But he's been up and down with the weights, and he's now campaigning this Harry Scarf guy at 147. And to cut a long story short, I felt as if, I mean, he was bossing that fight. He made Conor Walker look basic. Conor Walker was struggling, and up until the knockout came in the 11th round. Well, TKO, depending on what you want to call it, came in the 11th round. A brilliant shot, by the way, which caught Scarf from Conor Walker. His legs went. jaw went, and then he just couldn't really defend himself with the onslaught of shots. But up until that point, Harry Scarf was looking like a boss in there, to be fair. Literally, I don't know who this guy was, and I was thinking, come on, Conor, man, you're a bit better than that. But he just couldn't do anything. Scarf was too big, too rangy, quite basic with his shots. He didn't really do anything spectacular. He was just keeping him at bay, and that was frustrating. Conor Walker. And any time Conor Walker would come in, he would either try and swing or get in too close, and he would make his own work look a little bit sloppy, Conor Walker. And then Harry Scarf would push him off and then just land with a couple of straight shots and move. And that's pretty much how the fight went for 11 rounds until the knockout. But um, boxing is boxing, and sometimes that one big shot could change the fight, and that's exactly what happens. And Conor Walker is proper. He's on cloud nine now after winning the British and Commonwealth titles. He's very made up with that, and I would like to say the world's his oyster, but Harry Scarf was the champion, so I believe that these guys potentially will have a rematch, and I would like to see that rematch. And to be honest, once you get knocked out like that, there's a good chance that potentially could happen again. However, he was getting his head boxed off him, so I'd just potentially like to see that rematch, and hopefully both guys could get paid quite handsomely as well. But brilliant fight for anyone that hasn't seen that fight on the undercard of Dalton Smith versus Waleed Oza. Then I'll definitely say go and watch it. And yeah, let's wait and see what happens. That Harry Scarf guy, he takes his record to 13 wins with 4 losses on his record now. So obviously he sustained his 4th loss against Conor Walker, whereas Conor Walker now goes 15 wins with 3 losses and 1 draw on his record as well. And that will certainly push him up in the rankings as well. And he's been in there with other good British fighters as well. One of the best up and comers in the welterweight scene is Lewis Crocker. Very good fighter, Lewis Crocker. Currently unbeaten himself, and maybe one day these two guys could potentially get a rematch on, because their fight was very, very close as well. But yeah, this is pretty much my thoughts in regards to the fight on the weekend between Dalton Smith versus Waleed Oza and Harry Scarf versus Conor Walker. You let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How did you see both fights if you watched them? Where do you reckon Dalton Smith should go next in terms of his career? Would you like him to potentially take on the WBC champion if Eddie Hearn could potentially get that fight done? Or would you like him to potentially take on other bigger names in the super lightweight division? And what about Conor Walker? What next for him? Obviously, after that stunning KO knockout, I should say. Do you think a rematch is deserved for Harry Scarf? I personally do feel that it's deserved because he was winning the fight up until the knockout. But let me know your thoughts. And if not a rematch, where does he go? Does he try and take on the European champion, whoever that is, or potentially try and look for other bigger British domestic fights? As always, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Bless.